line. Check the radio, pit crew is far from slow. The lights no longer yellow. Ready, steady, go. Crank it up. Oh, it's racing. 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 In love with the ride. Burning rubber smells real nice. Fuel it up once or twice. Come on, fast is the way to drive. Crowds all on their feet, not one bothered by the heat. Imagine them in the driver's seat. Checkered flag would be sweet. Crank it up. Oh, it's racing. 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 Everybody get ready. On your feet. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Crank it up. Crank it up. Oh, it's race day. 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 Crank it up. Finger to the sky and a green light shining bright. The only thing I have in mind is the finish line. Check the radio, pit crew is far from slow. The lights no longer yellow. Ready, steady, go. Crank it up. Oh, it's racing. 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 In love with the ride. Burning rubber smells real nice. Fuel it up once or twice. Come on, fast is the way to drive. Crowds all on their feet, not one bothered by the heat. Imagine them in the driver's seat. Checkered flag would be sweet. Crank it up. Oh, it's racing. 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 Everybody get ready. On your feet. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Crank it up.
From Circuit Gilles Villeneuve to a Silverstone circuit, we are now back in England as we are ready for West 1, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a long ride to victory, but here, this is where the best come out to play. Welcome to the Silverstone circuit. Hi everyone, I am the Crusader, Chris Troy, joining you guys here today. 14 heavy hitters, the European side of things, getting ready to race it out here. And everybody hot on their toes and hot on their tails, looking to try to show what they can bring to the table. Let's take a look at our starting lineup today here as we start them on the pole. The 160 of Daniel Thomas is on the starting line. The outside of the 23 is Dan McFarlane. Row number 2 is Django Vale, and the 686. The outside of the 3 is Jeff Saville. Row number 3 will be Emil Koopmans in the 911. The outside of the 76, Thorsten Seifert. Row number 4 is Jonas Seger in the 72. The outside of the 93 is Neil Killen. Row number 5 is Mark De Bruin in the 52. The outside of the 941, it's Bjorn Ritter Richo. Row number 6 is Alexander Wilford in the 79. The outside of the 210, Salvatore Garriento. Our final seeds today come to us in Byron DeBello and Tyler Margaglia. That is going to be your starting lineup. Waste no breath, waste no time, ladies and gentlemen. Time to get going here at Silverstone. Heat 1, or sprint race for number 1, underway. Here we go. One long sprint deserves a good another. Daniel Thomas with the early lead. Emil Koopmans right behind him, trying to chase him down. Django Vale right now trying to move off the chains, trying to build up speed as they roll him back through down to the circuit. Early comers and goers right now, and some of them not making the show as we normally see them, so it's going to be an interesting case of seeing who can bring this one to victory lane. Salvatore Garriento right now moving up there with Jeff Saville. Alexander Wilford and Mark De Bruin right now also in the playing field here, both fighting hard and both scratching and clawing for any kind of surface they can. Track is surfaced up on the spot though. Alexander Wilford trying to make the move. Off on the 52, Mark De Bruin couldn't quite get it to go. Dan McFarlane, the number 23 machine, packed up. Whoa, hang on down there, Neil Killen. That's cutting some track and that's cutting some grass. He was trying to break it in properly, and instead he broke it something else, unfortunately. And problems down there, Tyler Margaglia. Tyler Margaglia right now having major problems down there as Neil Killen going back and forth with Wilford. He just drowned it right in between Mark De Bruin and Wilford, sending old Killen to the shadow realm. That is not the place you want to go. You don't want to visit the Shadow Realm. It's a dangerous landscape full of unsanctuary, untails. It's full of unleaded sanctuary. Unfortunately for them, that is going to be what they must resort to. They put themselves in that position, and that's what they end up with it. Daniel Thomas, huge lead right now over Emil Koopmans. About a second and 2/10 right now, keeping the gap up. Jonas Seger and Thorsten Seifert right on the nose too as we go on board with Jonas. Thorsten and Django right now going head to head with one another here. Django trying to keep a little bit of somewhat speed back underneath him after the previous times he was on the show. And Django not a guy easily could be just dismissed as a driver to fight out with. He can fight it with the best of them. He just needs to kind of make the pace, make his moves. As Jonas, a little too hard there going into that hard sweeping right-hander. One little slip up and one little mistake, and that's all she takes. Thorsten looking on right now as well, trying to see what he can do. Remember the inversion usually results in about 8 of them. Could make for some interesting shows in here. Could make for some interesting battles from point A to point B. Dan McFarlane. Oh, there goes the 23 through the corner before the big Silverstone circuit sign. What on earth happened to McFarlane there? Looked like he was trying to get it rallied back up under the RPMs. Next thing you know, the car decided to go for a tumble and a spin. And away she goes, indeed. Only 4 minutes into this race, and out of the 15, we've already lost a few drivers in between. Dan McFarlane, Neil Killen, and Tyler Margaglia. Maraglia. I hope I'm saying that right. Maraglia? Yeah. Some of these names are kind of brutal, guys. I apologize in advance if I say your name wrong on this show. No sign of McLeod down there today, so it looks like we weren't able to get him onto the show, unfortunately. It's a tough shame there. Usually, he always gives me kind of grief for messing his name up constantly on the show. But I will say this. I'm trying to get better about saying it. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting better about doing it as well. It's just one of those things. Farlane and Killen stretched out back from the field and back onto the track side here. Emil Koopman's trying to keep Django Vale behind him and trying to keep him out of his wake. Daniel Thomas right in the mix as well. Alexander Wilfert and Mark DeBruyn right now going head-to-head here. DeBruyn, we've seen some moments of brilliance from him before. See, maybe we can get a glimpse from him in this case, driving for the Netherlands. Currently just trying to hot shot around there off the edge of this track. Looking to get to Wilfert and make a move off on him there for the ninth spot. Remember, I believe it's top 8 will invert. Wilfert giving him plenty of room there. Gave him time to breathe, gave him time to open up, but he couldn't quite get it to go. See if that comes back to haunt him a little bit. DeBruyn right now still hard on the gas pedal and loud and on the charge. Every corner, every turn these drivers make, it just becomes more and more of a fight for survival and straggling for position. While all hope and all speeds relates, that does not necessarily mean it gives you what you're accomplishing for, and doesn't mean what you're going for either. Bouncing around right now, Daniel Thomas, Koopmans, and Vale right now just launching further and further back. Starting to separate more as we go. This is not unlike Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, where we saw a lot of drivers just going back and forth head to head with one another. This is a little bit of a different kind of feeling here. This is more of a kind of center yourself up and get the car ready to roll out on the track side of things. And not a whole lot of area for mistakes, but once you start putting 2 and 2 together and start figuring it out, now the track starts to become more of their style. I think the biggest thing I'm kind of noticing too is you kind of look at the way Daniel Thomas is rolling through the corners. He's being awfully cautious when he gets back in and out of that throttle rhythm. So that tells me the track may be a little bit slicker than we may think, and maybe actually giving these guys a little bit of a headache down there, just trying to hold on to the line, trying to hold on to position, gravitate everything they can in the wake of it. Rallying back to speed right now. Django Vale right now looking like maybe he's got something coming up for Koopmans. He's started to climb up closer, starting to climb up even faster. Very optimistic and opportune line there to try to make with and work with, but it's extremely difficult. You have to navigate and push through your way through. Vale trying to hold on though. Look back on the field side here. Jeff Seville and Thorsten Seifert having a little tussle as well. Good to see some newcomers like Seville kind of paying homage and tribute to racing it out on tracks of this old school nature and this variety in Silverstone. I don't know a whole lot about Silverstone, honestly, as a track, but I do know its legacy and heritage does revolve around Formula One and being what I believe, which was one of the very first tracks that Formula One ever had in its roster and its season base, I believe, if I'm remembering that right. So it's honestly kind of poetic that the Porsche Cup Challenge has a little crack at it, a little stint at it too. Just under 5 minutes left to go in the time-regulated sprint number 1. Coming back around right now, Jeff Seville right now pulling hard on the gas pedal, just trying to get to Thorsten, looking for maybe a little bit of a better invert spot. Thorsten, though, throughout his time here on the track side of things, he's known to make big moves, big opportunities, and some big strikes to show what kind of level of field he can bring to the table. Maybe looking to try to get that done again here. Packett stacking them up right now. Still Koopmans and Val right going at it here. Django Vale right now looking to see if maybe he can keep up there with Koopmans. Koopmans at this point knows he's not going to catch Thomas, and honestly I'm not surprised. Thomas looks like he pretty much owns this track at this point, or knows how to run it with the best of them. He's got the highest I rating today here at a 55.51. So a 5,551 I-rating skill set. Closest one to him was Alexander Wilford with a 38.81. But there's one thing I've always said about racing. You can look at the stats all you want. The fact is, how does a driver adjust, adapt, and figure out a track? Those, to me, are the ones that can put everything to the table and put everything on the radar and show their talents and capabilities in so many ways. Getting a bit of that right now. Seifert and Seville still hard on the gas pedal. Koopmans and Vale still look like it could go either way between those two. Vale knows that if he can't get Koopmans here in the next couple of laps, he's going to be in trouble. And they may be rolling up on the last lap here in a minute, which will set us up for that 30-minute race coming still today. Koopman's right now trying to hang on. Vale, he's right there with him. He's got some. Jonas Sager, a little bit of problems again. And right now that's 72, pretty much all but done and over with in this race. Yeah, what an excruciating heartbreak there for him and his team. Not able to stay up to stuff and stay up to the power that he feels he could have been. Thomas right now just needs to kind of close this gap up and close this race outright. He's got the sprint one figured out. He had the sprint race dialed in from the get-go. Roll him on down. I believe we got one more lap to go. White flag is in the air. White flag in the air right now. Koopmans and Vale going to go head-to-head here in this little climactic sequence of events. Vale waited long and hard to get the Koopmans. Still working their way through the sliding turns, through the X sector. Many of these drifting turns, these winding little spots here, just throw each car to their limit and throw each driver to their max performance. Tyler Maraglia, unfortunately, having all sorts of issues down there. Maraglia once again stopped dead onto the front straightaway here. Gonna get a refire, but get it back out on the track too little too late. And you can see the huge distance between Thomas, Koopmans, and Vale here at this point. They left nothing on the table here. But Thomas just frankly outsmarted them all. Vale going for a sidewinder here. The sidewind it through the turns and the inside on the left. No go, no gimmies. But for Daniel Thomas, safe to say this one was an easy spot for him. Vale going for broke still on Koopmans. Can't quite get it to work. Try to do it with just a few short corners left. Down to the final sector. Daniel Thomas. Oh, but seals this one up. Checkers out. Daniel Thomas gonna reel it in for this sprint one. Bill Koopmans hanging on for second, third to Django Vale. A nice little climactic battle for everything that they worked for and they fought for. Ends with this checkered out on the spot. So right now, last laps being put up. I believe Maraglia, last one to get out on the track. There we go. Got his finish in there. Alright, with that all and over set, let's take a look at our race results. Interesting dynamic and dilemma here. Everybody threw what they had here in the round of 11 at Silverstone, but in sprint 1 at least, Daniel Thomas coming out on top, Koopman second, Vale third, Seville fourth, Seifert fifth, Gariento sixth, Ritter seventh, Wilfert eighth, ninth, McFarlane, and De Bruin top 10. Heck of a run there and heck of a performance from everybody out there. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be cutting our mics for just a minute here and get ready for the action ahead. Stay tuned with us. So Michael McLeod joining us in the comments section here. Setting a lot of new newcomers today, but without McLeod down there, I wonder who might be coming out on top. Hard to say. Very, very hard to say. All I do know is it could get interesting here. Time to take a look at your starting lineup. This one will set on the pole. The number 79 of Alexander Wilford. The outside, that will be Bjorn Ritter in the 941. Then Salvatore Garanto in the 210 will be on the third spot. The fourth spot will be the 76 of Thorsten Seifert. Fifth spot is going to be the 3 of Jeff Seville. The 686 beside him will be Django Vale. Emil Koopmans in the 7th spot with the 911 and the 160 of Daniel Thomas. The 9th spot will be Dan McFarlane with the 23 and the 52. And Mark DeBruin holding the 10th spot. Neil Killen pilots the 93 with the 226 of Tyler Maraglia in the number 12 spot. Final star is Jonas Sager in the 72, as well as the 00 of Byron DeBello. As the green flag drives out, we're back underway. Feature race, feature event. One full race to go. Question is, who's going to be the one taking home this one? Little trouble out of the gate yet again. Neil Killen once more rolling it through the grassy plains and found himself in just an absolute mess. And he's going to have to go head-to-head there with Emil Koopmans. Now Koopmans put right back onto the track inside and a little bit more further up than he wanted to be. Coming right around Bjorn Ritter here, trying to stay quick with Thorsten Seifert. Salvatore Garriento also. Alexander Wilford in the mix, top spot, trying to drive it in deep, make it stick a little bit. Every driver for themselves, rolling down to the edges. Daniel Thomas, Django Vale, all of them looking quick and looking fast, trying to get the best out of the spots here. And Daniel Thomas moving in between. Big jumpers here right now, and a lot of heavy runners coming up for him, but Alexander Wilford trying to finally get himself another little high spot here. That driver has not been to victory lane in a little bit of a while, and he's looking to finally make amends for his mistakes and atone for the actions. Bjorn Ritter right now, the 941, coming up closer there to Wilford. Wilford giving him a little bit of room, driving that high on the outside, giving him time to kind of breathe, catch his breath. Wilford needs to be very more cautious and a little bit more self-aware. Put the foot down and put that pedal in the metal and make sure you defend all that dare come your way. Easier said than done, you may say, but really it's not easier said than done if you know exactly what you're doing and where you're going with it. That's the biggest problem with this kind of racing style. Back on board here with Jonas Sager. Sager this time around this main seems to be kind of catching himself more in a bit of a run than he was in earlier, because he was catching himself more in a pickle earlier. Coming right around, Django Vale right now, the 686, rolling quick on the inside. Jonas trying to stranglehold him down. A little bit of a whip off there. Jeff Seville way too hard on the ground level there. He got into it with Bjorn Ritter. And now it's Daniel Thomas coming through the mix. Tyler Maraglia again. More troubles down there. He just can't seem to keep this car straight. Slipped up again. And now he'll have to put a little bit of power underneath him to catch any hope for this one. Feels like once you just lose control, you spin out. You might as well call it a day here. Bounce back. Oh, trouble there, Jeff Seville. He got ripped up a little bit. Looked like he might have got caught between the eye of the storm and some other drivers wanting to make a pass on him. Take a look at the replay and see what the heck happened here. Something going horribly wrong there down there for him entering into that straightaway. You're right. This one sponsored in part by the Motor Racing Checklist. Yeah, Ritter just kind of caught him there. And the Fayette Mich-3 machine just went rolling into the sand. Battle bunks back to the field. Jonas and Django close together. Hard running it through. Django on left. Django on your left. On the right. That's Jonas Sager. Rolling it back down. Jonas getting a good run out. Finally found a little bit of speed. And now Dan McFarlane trying to figure that out too. Maybe look at the overall position. Look at the overall control. Every driver for themselves here. You don't make friends on this kind of racing surface. You only can make yourself enemies. Daniel Thomas knowing that way too well. Thorsten Seifert, Alexander Wilford. Starting to realize he may be in a little bit of trouble here. Wilford right now probably looking at closely, keeping Seifert and Thomas guarded and keep the speed up. Coming back around right now, Seifert and Thomas head-to-head, mano-a-mano, duel for duel. Thomas has shown Seifert earlier that he's not afraid to get ahead of him and get way back in front of the spotlight here. Seifert keeping his drive up. McFarlane right now in the mix as well. Rolling it down off the mix here and in between the speeds. Wilford just trying to hold up for whatever he can. Straight up now, mixing in between. Alexander Wilford in trouble. Daniel Thomas closing in quickly. Thorsten Seifert right behind him right now for your battle for the lead. Thomas trying to find an opening, trying to find an area to make his corner down on, but Silverstone not easy to do here. We've seen drivers go in the grass earlier because of it. Now comes a big sweeper here. And a big opening there. Thomas gave it everything he had, and Wilford just backed right out of it. I'm kind of shocked. Pretty clean little maneuvering there. Pretty clean little spot to be drifting it around. Not sure if Wilford really was expecting him that quickly, but he got around him. Meanwhile, Mac here, Neil Killen, and Emil Koopmans going back at it a little bit. Emil probably knows that Killen's been struggling all over the place today in terms of his braking and his cornering. But that's been off the start mainly. Then when he got a little bit of run going, a little bit of speed, tire started to kind of grip back up and get with him. He just wouldn't be quite as fast out of the gate, but it seemed to be working. Now he's going to have to hope that it works here. Daniel Thomas just leading this thing out, right? A little bit off driving there for Jonas Sager there. Sager going into a bit of a mix-up there and a little bit of a problematic zone. Rolling it back in between right now. Wilford got clopped up by McFarlane. McFarlane moving way ahead now of this one. McFarlane right now looking pretty impressive too, to be honest with you guys. He's been avoiding gaps, avoiding spots, and just hitting his shots up the best way he can. Back on board here with Jeff Seville right now, as you can see how much further along this race has kind of tore him in and kind of tore him down a bit. Meanwhile, also just a reminder, guys, today we have another showcase coming up. Pedal Metal Racing League presents the Pit Stall Racing Series 80 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, not Old Atlanta, as I mentioned by accident on the broadcast originally. So, my apologies there, but it is Las Vegas today, as I had to be clarified there by our producers. Speaking of being clarified up, Zorn right now, more troubles down there for the Rich Show. Retta right now gotta be just absolutely annoyed and frustrated himself, stuck in the sand pit and graveled up. Nothing he can do about it. Pulling back the curtains a little bit now. Django Vale moving quickly on Jonas Sager. Sager trying to hang in on there on the left side, but he just can't quite keep the power up. Laying down the gas, laying down the momentum. Every driver just wanting to make it or break it with whatever they can. With nothing more, nothing less. All you got your wits and your speed to hang in there and drive what you got to do. Powered up right now and back into the mix here. Thorsten Seifert, Jonas Sager keeping up with the time. Alexander Wilford, right at this moment anyway, probably feeling like he's been punched out so much like Mike Tyson's punch out. Got knocked silly a few times, and then from there just trying to find himself on the receiving end of these guys' hits and blows. amazing to me too, just kind of seeing from the gaps wise here where everyone tries to hit their marks at, where everyone tries to go for their runs at. So many of them are really aiming towards those straightaways and then using the turn almost kind of as like their last resort. The straights seem to be where most of the passes have been obligated to be made from, whereas those that went harder into the gap, into the drive and into the speed zones here, that's the ones that really been able to drive up as far and as wide as they could. A little bit more time elapsing here, and options really starting to be limited here for these drivers. The Silverstone track, for all intents and purposes to me, pretty much has been just kind of taking every driver for a ride and taking them for quite a bit of a hit or two. And no one's been able to just put two and two together to figure out what was the best option, what was the best drive here. Michael McLeod saying Seger disconnected from the server. Not sure what happened to Koopmans there. What is the replay on Koopmans? He's way back there. Well, he was back there. I'm not sure, honestly, what happened there. I actually didn't even get to see the comments when I had a chance there, so I apologize. If I had a guess, probably had a little bit of a hard run out of the gate and then kind of got trapped back in between. Hard to really say. We don't have enough time to go back and look and find it, unfortunately, what the producers are telling me here. Asking what is my Porsche Cup driving experience. Well, to be honest, McLeod, I really don't have much. Sorry, the only time I really had any experience, I actually got behind the wheel of one of these things. I took it over to Laguna Seca just for shots and goggles, and I tried it out. And biggest thing I can tell you is that trying to turn this thing and then steer it off was a little bit easier than I was expecting, but it was a lot harder to narrow down corners when I'm going in certain areas, like going uphill and downhill in some cases too. Rolling it right back on down. Sager taping his momentum up, keeping it clean. Cypher and Vale not too far behind either. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. Everybody wants a shot at the action. They just want to simply get right around from point A to point B, though, with only 12 minutes and some odd seconds left on the clock. Daniel Thomas has just inverted this entire field and took it by storm. 7 spots up, rolls it from point A to point B. Drives it like he literally just figured the track out here. Speaking of Koopmans right now, he's coming back a little bit. Tyre Maraglia yet again. Man, this guy just cannot keep himself out of his own hair. The 226 spinning out in trouble one more time there, it seems. That's the word to call right now. Meanwhile, up to the bat, Jeff Seville and Alexander Wilford now going head to head. Wilford again started on the top spot. Fell in the second, then fell to third, then all of a sudden he fell down into sixth by simply just getting kind of turned around a little bit and into more trouble than he was thinking. And now he's got even more of a problem on his hands. Seville right now trying to make a move off on him, trying to make some speed and ground there. Back stacked and wrapped around once again here. Koopmans trying to find a move off. Alexander Wilford trying to deal him back into this race. Dealing yourself back into a race like this, though, man, that is way too hard to do. crazy to believe and cannot believe what we're seeing still, which has been just this all-around display of power and strength amongst these drivers. Just under 10 minutes left now on the clock. Back up to the front right now. More trouble there. Jonas Sager found himself on the receiving end there, looks like, and got passed up into the mix. You don't want to be left out of this stuff there. Far from it. See what we got here and roll him down off the circuit here and just see what went wrong there, unfortunately for him. Yeah, looked like he just over-braked it there, trying to steer it in. Again, these cars, when they start to really tear out a little, the power steering just becomes even more and more difficult, treacherous to actually corner off from. And that's when you really got to know how the aerodynamic deficiencies and dependencies of these cars work. Because otherwise, you'll pretty much be all left alone like Neil Killen, Mark DeBruin, Bjorn Ritter, and Tyler Maraglia have been left behind on. The poor drivers right now just hoping for a breather, hoping for something to go their way, or at least give them a hand here if they can. Daniel Thomas leading this field outright though by a very big margin, not a small margin I was going to say, but a huge margin. 7 seconds between him and the second place driver, Dan McFarlane. They're run off right again. Thorsten Seifert and Django Vale now heading with one-on-one. Thorsten trying to keep Germany stable here and trying to show what he can bring to the table. McFarlane, representing for the American side of things, showed a great deal of promise and speed throughout this. And safe to say, he's continuing to do that and maybe a little bit more. Django pulling up quick, looking maybe for a little bit of a gap off the runs here. Looking to the right side, looking for the pass, gets blocked, drop down, back in again. Django knows he's gonna have to find a way around it. He had one shot in a little window of opening, but it did not work. Jeff Saville going after Jonas Sager still, as he's seen the other three drivers just doing their own thing here. McFarlane pretty much on cruise control at this point. Same with Daniel Thomas. Knowing points are very crucial and very key to this kind of racing, this kind of endeavor, if you will. Just under 6 minutes left now on the time. Yeah, I don't know what went wrong there for Alexander Wilford when he got started, but maybe he'll say probably was when he literally turned on the car is when everything went horribly wrong. No question though, he had speed. But this seems to have completely reversed his ways and reversed his change of speed and gravitational pull. And I think he's well aware of that. Just over 4 minutes left now. Time running out. Daniel Thomas at this point pretty much just edging every single driver away from this position. You get the braking zones too on these cars, man. The way they brake, the way they kind of clear off the gaps and shoot for the turns. They hit them at such an angle and hot speeds. Really shoots them for a bit of a loop and throws them for a bit of a curveball down there. Making things much more difficult and much more strained out to make the best of their equipment and the best of their times here. But in the same moment or in the same breath, if you will, maybe it's not quite all up to the same specs, the same par that they need. Slinging it down and rolling it on around. Opportunities still progressing and getting even harder and harder to navigate through. Three minutes now left on the clock. Daniel Thomas all but pretty much secure in this race win as long as he just stays nice and smooth and focused here. He's all but pretty much put this race on ice. Man, I don't know how he does it either. It's just so smooth and precise. Good etiquette and good work. Should have at least another lap set up for him. 2 more laps to go. Daniel Thomas keeping the race lead locked up. Thorsten Seifert, Django Vale, Jonas Sager, Jeff Seville looking to try and break that gap off and try to end this one on a high note for themselves. Opportunity going to be stretched harder, though. There's not much time to do it. lap time up on the ranks, up on the boards. One more chance to try to make the best of your equipment, the best of your situation. McFarlane right now in the second spot with hungry drivers behind. Daniel Thomas squeezing every little bit of juice left out of this equipment, out of this car. Seifert, Vale, Sager, Seville. Hard on the gas pedal and trying to get one more position up. Points crucial and in this moment of need. Opportunity starting to run low here and there, knowing that this gap may be the hardest to kind of come back from. Trying to use that draft and to keep the dirty airflow moving through. Seifert trying to stay away from Vale and let him have an opening. McFarlane trying to not let those two just draft up to him as Thomas continues to patrol through. Coming out on the other end on top, Daniel Thomas has only just got a few more corners to go. Rolling it right off now through the sweeping right hand, downshift and turn. Anybody's guess, anybody's mind on who will be able to take the second back on to fifth spots. But for the first place spot, we do know one thing is for sure. The 116, Daniel Thomas, strikes it big again and strikes gold in Silverstone. The win will belong to the 160, Daniel Thomas, going back to victory lane. Rolling it right off for the battle for second. Dan McFarlane hangs on for the final battle for third. Thorsten Seifert will take down Django Vale once more. Jeff Seville bringing it home to fifth. How about that one? A strong climactic sequence of events linked to an undeniable final road for Daniel Thomas. Daniel gonna take a bow here in Silverstone in front of the United Kingdom fans and friends alike. He has taken control of this series in this race today with this win. Now knowing that he's gonna have Philip Amber breathing down his neck when he gets back. Probably wanted to take him down a few notches. But a huge win nevertheless, and a much needed win in probably his mind, his opinion, after everything he's fought for and worked for to get to. What a race, ladies and gentlemen, what a race. Well, it's time to put this one to bed and conclude this one out. Here is your finishers. Daniel Thomas, your race winner. Dan McFarlane going home second. Third, Thorsten Seifert. Django Vale going to go fourth. Jeff Seville fifth. Sixth to Jonas Seger. Seventh to Emil Koopmans. Eighth to Alexander Wilford. Neil Killen going ninth. 10th to Mark DeBruin. Rounds out the top 10. Race fans, we are leaving Silverstone, but it has been a pleasure to show this one for the first time ever. Still new tracks we have yet to see and we've yet to show. We hope one day that will change. But for now, Silverstone, thank you so much for your support to the fans and friends alike. And Porsche Cup Challenge, thank you so much as well to Suellio Media, MotorRacing.com, their checklist, motor racing checklist. Thank you to them and thank you for their support. Until next time, race fans, we'll see you on the track.